Welcome back to the 106th episode of Planet Coaster. We're continuing our work in the western-themed area of Dusty Creek, but before we dive in fully, I'm starting off with a small connecting path between the motorsports section and the western area. The idea behind it is simple. I just want to avoid having any dead-end walkways in the park and keep everything more connected and accessible. Now that the path is in place, it's time to adjust the surrounding forest. I'm filling in the gaps that were created during construction, making sure the wooded area looks natural and cohesive again. This helps bring back the immersive atmosphere and keeps the landscape looking seamless and well integrated. In the western area, more buildings are being added, though many of them are just copy-paste designs. This is mainly because I couldn't come up with anything better at the moment. To be honest, I was a bit stuck for ideas today during the build. I kept questioning what I should do and how I could improve things. I wonder if it'll get better when I hit the final theme, but I'm honestly feeling a bit short on ideas there as well. Hopefully I'll find some inspiration soon. Still, I tried to stay productive and decided to work on the exterior shell of this attraction. Surprisingly, it turned out to be a bit easier than expected. All I really had to do was add a sufficient number of windows, and that was pretty much it. And here I figured I'd just reserve this area for the western section as well. At that point, I still hadn't decided where to place the mine-themed coaster, the mine train, or how exactly to design its layout, so I thought I might as well use this smaller section for it. And if it doesn't work out in the end, no big deal. The forest can be replanted quickly anyway. But of course, the facade for Gears of Fear also needs to be completed. Initially, I wanted to hang large letters from the roof to spell out the name, but in the end, I wasn't really happy with how that looked. So I browsed the workshop for some signs and eventually came across smaller ones. I'm not sure if it was the smartest choice, but somehow they feel like a good fit for the style of the attraction. Uh, yeah, I didn't really get that much done here, mostly because I kept putting it off a bit and ended up focusing on other things instead. One of those things was the horse carriage repair shop. What I'm trying to show is that there used to be two repair shops in town, but one of them went bankrupt while the other survived. So the one inside the town gets a bit of a makeover to appear active and maintained, while the other one, further out, is being transformed to look rundown and abandoned, just to reflect that contrast visually. Now, I'm also focusing on the roller coaster, and I'm placing it at the edge of the western town because it feels like the most logical spot to me. My main focus for today is on the rough placement and building the chain lift. I'm not doing too much beyond that for today. I'll save the rest for another episode. The station building is also just small and a bit scattered at first, still very much in the concept phase. Since space is tight back here, I have to make the most of every single centimeter. To do that, I'm also using pathways as markers to see how far I can go towards the edge while still leaving room for a path. It's not ideal, I know, but if I want to fit a church between the train tracks and the attraction, I have to optimize the space as much as possible. A few details later, I'm back at the Gears of Fear building. It might seem a bit uninspired or lacking in creativity, but it's the most effective way to go if I simply copy the windows and just adjust the colors. Especially in the back where you can't really see the details too clearly, it's not such a big deal, particularly because the game doesn't offer many different window options that would fit. I'm just doing my best.